Presiding officer, to state the obvious, education matters to us all and to all the people of Scotland. Like others, education has touched my family. My grandfather started teaching in 1881. And when he retired in 1926, he was the Fellow of the Educational Institute of Scotland. His father was a coal miner, so he did not come from a highly educated family. My mother was the daughter of a ship's rigger and started teaching in 1931. I may say on an annual salary of £36 a year. Today I have a niece who teaches in England and a nephew who teaches in Denmark. Alas, I don't seem to have any current teachers in my family who live in Scotland. My own pedagogic activity is strictly limited to 3 years lecturing to postgraduate students at Heriot Watt after retiring from my long-term career. So I accept that we all have a shared ambition across the Parliament, a belief in the importance of education and presumably training as well, because the two can often be linked. So we're debating much more about means than we are about ends. Now, the title of the debate refers to Scotland's future prosperity, and education is a key part of making a contribution to that. There is, of course, the economic activity associated with the preparation and delivery of education. We employ teachers, we employ others, and, of course, we attract students from across the globe to a system that has long been recognised as excellent. There are substantial difficulties in relation to that aspect of our educational system, created by the withdrawal of one of Jack McConnell's achievements, which was getting a system of visas for foreign students. And I very much regret that that has happened, and I suspect most people in the Chamber will do the same. We also get economic benefit from education by equipping our citizens for future challenges and opportunities. And, of course, future challenges are very interesting because we don't know what they will be. So, above all else, education is not simply about giving a set of skills into the cerebral cavity of our students. It is about equipping them to make future decisions, the nature of which this generation of politicians and of teachers can know nothing. Now, I'm a regular visitor, as other members in the Chamber will absolutely also be, to schools and, most recently, to North East College in Fraserburgh, which is in my constituency. It's had significant investment, and there is more building work underway. Inside the building, there are new computers. Because of the pressure and increased demand and increased student numbers, they're stealing some of the public space for new teaching rooms. When they've got the building complete, we'll get back into the kind of balance that we want. And more fundamentally, in that college, which I very much like the whole attitude and approach that they take, we're seeing substantially more students at their graduations coming with certificates and diplomas that are relevant to the employment opportunities in the area, but will endure as a contribution to the well-being of those students. Now, we in Scotland, of course, historically have placed an emphasis on rational argument and on personal responsibility. And that partly came from the Reformation, which brought Calvinism to Scotland, a kind of mixed blessing, we might possibly say, but it put in place a value in education that was delivered by our having an education system available to most of our population long before other countries in Europe. We also were fortunate, where others were unfortunate, in being one of the early medical training centres in Europe. Because of the bad reason that Edinburgh had very substantial morbidity in the old town, because the buildings were built upwards for safety, so they could be near the castle in dangerous times, and that created a hotbed of transfer of infection, which led to the opportunity to create a medical school of international renown. Now, I want to be a little bit didactic about one of the subjects that's emerged, and that is about technical adjustments to numbers. And I do this by illustrating something from our ordinary natural lives. If a year ago I had a car which I assessed as worth £12,000, in looking at my assets and liabilities, I might on my balance sheet of such consider that this year it would be worth £10,500, depreciation of £1,500. But when I go along to John Menzies and look in quickly, while they're not looking in the books and see what the value is, I find it's worth £11,000. In other words, the depreciation I put in the balance sheet was £500 more than the reality. Now, that's good news. The assets have grown, but there's not a penny more in my pocket. And perhaps members care to think about the way in which some of the numbers we talk about are exactly that same thing. Presiding Officer, I commend the Read, Write, Count campaign. I commend the Making Maths Count campaigns that the government have been engaged in. We're in the position where teachers bring perspiration, much more than is often commonly recognised, to their task. They work longer hours than people often realise. They bring inspiration to their students and create a supination. Finally, Presiding Officer, on the matter of how to deal with raising tax, Gordon Brown, 30th of April 2008, we did not cover as well as we should that group of low-paid workers and low-income people who didn't get the working income tax credit. In other words, the last time Labour upped the tax for basic rate taxpayers, Gordon Brown acknowledged it didn't work. The evidence is Labour haven't thought it through any more carefully this time, Presiding Officer.